So you know what's one thing that I genuinely enjoy when it comes to this kind of backlash that's happening with Sony, Shift Up, Helldivers, all this nonsense happening right now, is the fact that it's got people so on edge. It has people so ready to go on the attack that it seems like these companies literally can't walk at all without getting called out for some nonsense that they're doing, essentially walking on eggshells. And I feel like that's better for the consumer overall, because if the companies have to basically walk on eggshells, they will make sure that they do everything they can to try to button up all this nonsense that they would have otherwise let loose if they weren't constantly being called out for their BS.
I'm doing my part too.
Now, what am I talking about? Well, apparently we have an article here from Phantom Pulse, and there's also a tweet that I have that I'm going to showcase. But it says from Phantom Pulse, internal strife at Shift Up, Stellar Blade flirtation with Kotaku cut short when Grums called them out. Now, you guys already know that Stellar Blade's official account, or I guess it's an official account, I don't really know. It's a blue check mark, but everybody keeps saying that's the official account. Apparently, they retweeted something a day or two ago from Kotaku, and this retweet was essentially them talking about how Eve is hotter when she's not revealing anything. Yes, Kotaku decided to put out this absolutely stupid article like they always do, and I didn't do a video on it because I'm tired of just talking about Kotaku and giving them clicks. I want to kind of branch out a little bit, but I will talk about them indirectly because I already know based off that headline what kind of nonsense is in that article. But yes, apparently they put out an article saying that Eve is at her hottest when she's clothed, of course, and the actual Stellar Blade account retweeted it, and a lot of people were saying, is this basically you admitting that they censored the game? And then Grums ended up calling him out, and that's already when it went crazy from there. So let's get into this article, guys, from Phantom Pulse. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. It says Stellar Blade's flirtation with Kotaku was cut short when Grums called them out, but does their folly point to an internal strife? Sensation seekers at Kotaku, the sleaze rag posing as a gaming magazine that employs failed cam girls, couldn't contain their glee at the censorship of Eve in Stellar Blade and dedicated an article to the game titled Stellar Blade's Eve is hottest when she's not revealing anything. In what gamers believe was a traitorous and insulting move, the Stellar Blade Twitter account reposted the Kotaku post that contained the article. Ex-user Packergirl, shout out to Packergirl, picked up on Stellar Blade's repost of Kotaku's post, asking, did Stellar Blade just admit that the Day 1 patch censored costumes, or is this just a coincidence? Game developer and former team lead OG of World of Warcraft and producer at Diablo 2 and StarCraft, Mark Kern called out the Stellar Blade account manager's flirtation with sleaze rag Kotaku. Community manager for Stellar Blade retweets Kotaku on outfit censorship justification. Helldivers 2 community manager says, hold my beer. Really, these community managers are both terrible at their jobs. They are competing for worst crisis management in gaming. Now, listen, guys, what's happening right now, like I said earlier in the video, between Sony, Helldivers, and Stellar Blade, I'm all here for it. I'm here for it because I am tired of these corporations thinking they could get away with whatever the fuck they want to get away with, because honestly, gamers have been very complacent. And Sony is used to getting away with basically anything, because I'm going to be real with you, and I've said this in many videos, console gamers are more likely to put up with nonsense than PC gamers, right? If there's a totem pole with who's going to put up with the most shit versus who's going to put up with the least, you're going to have mobile gamers at the top of putting up with everything, console gamers somewhere in the middle, and PC gamers putting up with not that much, right? Like PC gamers usually are the first to basically do a backlash if something were to affect them versus anybody else. It says Grums is right. It is bad enough that we have gaming urinalists at sleaze rags like Kotaku who hates gamers. The last thing video game companies need are community managers who hate gamers too. This faux pas by the Stellar Blade X account manager could have costed them dearly, especially considering that Grums have called on gamers to support Stellar Blade and not boycott it. However, the Stellar Blade account deleted the repost of the Kotaku sleaze rag article soon after the faux pas was noted by Grums. It could be that the Stellar Blade account manager genuinely made a mistake, or it could be that the Stellar Blade developer Shift Up was concerned about a backlash from gamers. Ex-user Packergirl updated. Kotaku senior editor Alyssa Mercante confirmed Stellar Blade unretweeted the Kotaku article. Now, again, could it have been a mistake? Probably. Could it have been detrimental to them if they would have kept it up? Absolutely. So it could have been, honestly, either or, right? Who really knows? But all we know is that they did retweet it, and then they did delete it, okay? And again, Alyssa Mercante melting down because they deleted it is fantastic. I love to see it. And I just wish more of it would happen. But we know that Stellar Blade right now is in turmoil, not so much like Helldivers is now, but Stellar Blade is absolutely in turmoil. You have Shift Up saying they're having internal discussions with Sony. You have Arrowhead Studios saying they're having internal discussions with Sony. Both of these companies are going at Sony right now for different reasons, and you love to see it. So then it says it's hard to give Stellar Blade community manager the benefit of the doubt and ascribe this faux pas to a genuine mistake on his or her part. No community manager of any game, let alone the community manager of Stellar Blade, is unaware of the Stellar Blade censorship debacle and Kotaku's pro-censorship stance. That leaves only two possibilities. Either game developer Shift Up is pro-censorship or the community manager went rogue, which could point to an internal striving at Shift Up. Now, you're right. It could be either or. I think we're looking too much into this, honestly. I think it could have just been a simple, stupid retweet that they ended up realizing like, oh, this might be a problem. It also could have been a little bit of a language barrier. It could have been an automated bot kind of a thing because you have certain companies do utilize bots to do auto retweets depending on what gets said out there on the internet. So if something is hashtagged with Eve or Stellar Blade, they probably are more likely to retweet it automatically, or at least take a second look at it. There might be a little bit of a language barrier there. Who really knows? But at the end of the day, man, Shift Up knows what happened. Sony knows what happened. Gamers know what happened. Now it's like, okay, where do we go from here? Are we uncensoring the game or are we keeping it censored? Is the petition going to do something or is it going to do nothing? Like, we need to start realizing that, after a certain point, we got to start taking action. And don't get me wrong, we are taking action. We're taking action against it with this petition. We're taking action against Helldivers with the review bombing. We're taking action against these companies, but now it's their turn to see what their response is going to be. But honestly, from my point of view, I don't really think there's going to be that great of a response. I think what's going to end up happening is that Sony's going to double down on both aspects. Sony's going to double down on the censorship of Stellar Blade, and Sony's going to double down on the PSN to Steam linking requirement for Helldivers, because at the end of the day, Sony is never going to admit that they're wrong. When's the last time Sony was forced to admit they were wrong is when they got caught being hacked, right? They even tried to deny being hacked for a couple months. Remember when that happened? They tried to deny being hacked, and then all of a sudden, after people started realizing the truth of it, and they couldn't keep denying and making excuses as to why their service was down, they had to openly admit, yep, we got hacked. So Sony will do whatever they can to not admit what's actually in people's faces. In this scenario, it's basically being proven to be wrong. They're never going to admit it. So for people out there looking for that, I don't think you're going to get that. Hopefully we do, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So ultimately, I'm glad that the Stellar Blade account decided to delete the retweet so that it sent Alyssa Mercante into a meltdown. That's always a plus, and Kotaku too into a meltdown. And we're going to keep reporting on this, and hopefully we see some change within Stellar Blade and Helldivers and everything that's happening right now in gaming. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.